Did you know that self-care is brave? Yes, well, our next guest is going to share with us not just how to take care of ourselves, how to practice self-care, but also how to be accountable to that. So don't go anywhere, stick around, especially if you're challenged with self-care. Welcome to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. This show is all about sharing the tips, tools, and techniques that will allow you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams despite your feelings, fears, or past failures. To imagine what's possible for yourself and live the life you deserve. Well, hello, and welcome to this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. I'm your host, Alicia Curry, and on this episode today, we're talking about self-care. And I just want to encourage you all that come join us on winwinwomen.com. Listen, if you want to have your own show, if you think you have this topic that you just love to explore and you want to share it with the world, go to redcarpetceo.com, go to our website, scroll up a little bit, you'll see the logo for Win-Win Women, click on that, and they will take you through the process of becoming your own show host right here on Win-Win Women TV. Aside from that, if you go to winwinwomen.com, you'll be able to see some amazing opportunities for, they have these circles, these local circles globally, the events globally that you can go to in person and meet other women and just enjoy the company of other women who are growing and achieving and just expanding. So go check out winwinwomen.com. Now, to connect with me, go to alicia360.com or redcarpetceo.com, and you can connect with me there. Now, for our guest, Nicole, she was here before and gave us so many great tips to open us up to bravery, to having bravery in the way that we operate and even just, I remember when you said, just 1% better. Just focus on being 1% better. I loved it. So Nicole Trick Steinbach, welcome back to the show.
So excited. And I just have to do two things at the very beginning beyond saying thank you for inviting me back. Yes, definitely check out Win-Win. Win-Win Women has been so inspiring for me. I've been learning about things I never knew about, but also congrats on your TED Talk being published. That's so exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, the TEDx is out, and I will link to the TED Talk right below this in the notes for you to go check it out. I really, really poured my heart into that 13-minute talk, and there was a lot coming out, and actually I'm going to do a whole show on the things that I left out of that speech that I couldn't talk about. So look out, we're gonna go a little bit deeper into some of the concepts that I talk about and the things that I shared in that talk. So thank you, Nicole, for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going deeper. Wow, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, because a lot of people don't believe, and this is part of our topic, actually. A lot of people don't believe that I had a lot of self-confidence issues, they see me now today, evolved and still evolving, but I had really bad body image. Not to the point of being anorexic or bulimic or anything like that, but I just felt so uncomfortable in my own skin. And so I talk about in that TED Talk about overcoming, how do you build self-love? How do you find self-love and build that self-love? Because affirmations didn't work for me. Just saying affirmations didn't work for me. I tried all kinds of different things. And so you gotta watch the talk because I had some traumatic things that happened. And so, I mean, they're funny looking back at it now, but some things that really that happened to me as a young girl that shaped how I felt about myself and how I felt about my body. and having to overcome those things. And so if there's a young woman in your life, a teenager in your life, even a preteen in your life, I would encourage you to share that talk with them, because they could be feeling or experiencing some of those same things. And yeah.
Yeah, and today, so I have a boy and I have a girl, and there's so much pressure on boys now as well to look a certain way. And I have to admit, my boy is older, and I have to admit, I was not prepared for the body issues and
Mhm.
how much photoshopping and filters and AI even is impacting how all genders see themselves. And you know,
Exactly. So it's not just a women thing, because
saying,
I crafted it, even though it was told from my perspective as a woman, I wanted to include how all genders are feeling about their body image. So everyone could take something away from the talk, not just if you're a woman. And I kind of tell it from the perspective of my breasts.
mm,
I am a breast cancer conqueror. I don't say survivor, because I kind of conquered that too. So I tell it from the perspective of my breasts as well, through the entire journey of not having to almost losing type
yeah.
of journey as well. So
Wow.
it's there's a
That
lot
is
in there.
brave. That is very brave.
Listen, the day before, I'm like, am I really going to stand on stage and talk about my boobs? I don't know.
Absolutely.
So, so yes, I was able to share some really deep things in that it's 13 minutes, but the whole thing is 15 minutes, with applause and cuts and all that kind of stuff. So, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. And it directly relates to the idea of self-care and accountability because, we, in our last conversation, which was so fun, I've gotten great feedback
Yes.
on,
Good.
we really talked about, so one of the things that I talk about with bravery being a skill that we can learn and we can leverage for our careers, but also our lives. The first part is clarity, knowing what your goal is, sharing it with the people around you, momentum, feeling and acting your way to success, and then
Mhm.
accountability. And one of the things that you just touched on is there's a really significant difference between how we've socialized accountability and what accountability actually is. So many of us, especially women, and the more intersectional our identities are, the more this is true, right?
Mhm.
We've been socialized that accountability is actually governance. So we'll hear things
Right.
like hold him accountable, right? Or you're accountable to blah blah blah. And that's actually governance, right?
Yeah. Right.
We've set a standard, and now somebody is overseeing that. What accountability truly is, and what most of my clients and myself, what we find very freeing is when we realize, oh, accountability is just to self.
It's to and of, yeah. It's
Yes,
to and
me.
of self, me.
Yeah. And being accountable with me. And if I have an accountability buddy, there is support to support me being accountable to me, with me, of me, for me, right?
Yes.
And that directly relates into who we want to be and how we want to be in the world, right?
That's beautiful. I love that. Because actually right now I'm in a mastermind program for like your future self. It's like imagining, and I don't know if you know, but I do, those of you who are watching know I do some work around alter egos, and this idea of future self, like who are you in your future? And it's with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who wrote the book 10x is easier than 2x, and who, not how, and I'm trying to remember the other title, can't remember it right now. But he talks about in our sessions, he talks about stop optimizing things that don't belong in your future. That we spend
Yeah.
all this time optimizing things that are going to be obsolete in our future.
Mhm.
So why don't we work from that future self and really think about what we need to optimize that's taking us to our future, instead of being stuck in this past trying to, and that's, to me, I look at the accountability to yourself through that
Yeah.
lens as well. Like, if what is if you're looking at your health goal, what are you doing today
Yes.
and being accountable today that gets you to that future goal instead of trying to optimize something that is not going to get you where you're going.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
And I
Yeah.
love, yeah. So accountability to yourself. Because when I wake up in the morning to get up and go put on my sneakers to go to work, I don't want to do it. I don't ever want to do it.
That's right.
Ever. Ever. I don't enjoy it. I don't love it. But I do it because my health is most important to me. And that brings me to the health that I desire to maintain and optimize for my future.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. One of the exercises that my clients go through when we're in the clarity phase, when they're starting to create their goal. So I support women in technology, and a lot of my clients will come to me and say, I want to hit a certain title. I want to hit a certain income. I want to hit a certain hours worked. And it's like, that is fantastic. Because that's a nice, clear, tangible goal. You can say, yes, I did this, or no, I didn't do this. And what I support them in doing is coming one further down and like, but who are you when
Mm,
that is also true? So, for example, one of the most transformative things for me that was very hard and was rooted in true self care, not getting my nails done, but true self care, was being someone who worked no more than 45 hours a week as a very senior person in a tech company because
mm,
I was someone who had other interests.
yeah.
I was someone who actively read for growth and enjoyment. I was someone who was learning friendship and how to be a present friend, right? I was someone who, right, things that were true to me. And one of the most important, and quite frankly, it remains the most challenging, is what you were saying with health. I am someone who treasures the body I move within.
Hmm.
So, to your earlier conversation, I'm in recovery for disordered eating. I was in a hospital when I was 17 years old. And
Mm,
I actually struggled up until the moment I gave birth. Now, very clear caveat, I do not believe this is the case for all people. However, for me, there was something about, wow, this vessel created life. So, from about probably 15 is when I started disordered eating. And 30 was the last time I really had an actual struggle, right? So there have been times when I like have to go back to my self-care method, my coping method. And in learning how to rest, I was very fearful of quiet. I was very
mm,
fearful of being rested. And so
yeah.
one of the first things that I needed to do was to create this, as you were saying, alter ego. I love that word. Um, I am rested. I am caring for my vessel. I am enjoying food. I am, right? And
Hmm.
that's what actually led me to being a global senior director who actually worked 36 hours a week, and the other 4 hours were learning and development.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's actual accountability. That's actual self care, bringing myself back again and again and again into who I truly wish to be as I accomplish specific goals. And now as a business owner, I again feel like I'm very much a beginner in this. I'm like, yeah, I crushed it when I'm a corporate employee. But as a beginner in a business, I mean, I'm only 5 years in, right?
Hmm.
Like I still have phases where I'm too heavy in one side and too weak on the other side, and building that over time. I mean, that's the whole point of the spiral we talked about last time, right? And the 1% or 2% or however we want to talk about it, of just keeping coming back to who am I becoming?
Right. Turnover. It's incredibly expensive for any organization, but especially those that are small and mid-size. If you're an organization and you're hiring, it's so important to get it right. You need to identify the right people for the right roles. Here at Audacious Concepts Inc., we help you perfect your hiring process so you get it right every single time. Reach out to us at audaciousconceptsinc.com. I love it. That's very powerful because that brings you right back to your first point of clarity. Like
Yeah.
you have that clarity of the who, that
Yes.
future self, that who are you becoming in the process of the doing. Um, it's very important to think through. And yes, it's nice to get your nails done. It's beautiful to get your
Oh,
hair
fantastic.
done. It's wonderful to sit and get a pedicure and a manicure. And but
Oh,
but but those are activities. They're not full self-care.
yeah,
Self-care is all mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. It encompasses your whole self, not
absolutely.
just your extremities looking pretty.
Absolutely. And, and often to your point earlier, it's about those, what I call crucial conversations. Some people call them conflict conversations. Some people have lots of different difficult, hard, whatever conversations. For me, frequently, accountability is having that conversation with somebody and not to have them respond in a specific way or have them agree with me. But for me to know I am the person who doesn't overwork, I am the person who doesn't chase yes. I am the person who stands for human rights, where I live right now, unfortunately, there's just been a lot of transphobia, and that's something that I don't stand for. And so, one of the crucial conversations I'm frequently having as part of my self care is, okay, you're speaking to someone who doesn't agree. In fact, I find that quite harmful. Not
Mhm.
to educate, not to argue, not to disagree, right? But just to say, this is who I am. And I am not someone who continues the historical legacy of excluding other human beings, but sits in the discomfort of becoming ever more active for human rights for all kind of
Mhm.
situations, right? And so those crucial conversations, whether it's asking your boss for a raise, right? Telling someone you're not going to do their job anymore, especially you ladies out there at corporate, stop doing other people's jobs. You know, shifting around responsibilities at home for people who are partnered, right? Having important conversations. This is one that I'm constantly doing. Having important conversations with my children's educators, right? That is self-care. That, oh my goodness, to your point about like stop optimizing stuff that's not going to be there. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but I've had some friendship withering or friendship breakups, which I was shocked at how much more energy I had, how much more interest I had, how self-care it was for me
Yes.
to limit my time in relationships that were one time fantastic, but we've just grown.
Yeah. Yes. It's time. I want to just pause on that for a second because it's it's important to understand too that some people are in your life for a season
Yeah.
and they may be very pivotal and very involved in your life. And so if you keep optimizing that relationship when it's really time to let it go, uh, you're not taking care of you. I
That's right.
I I had thought about not too long ago about some of the relationships in my life, some of the friendships, really good friends, really great friendships. But I realized in some of them, in some of those cases, that I was just being a friend that they needed me to be. And I say it in that way because
Yes.
at it wasn't a mutually beneficial friendship.
Yeah.
Like they were leaning more on me, pulling more on me, needing me more. And it became very, like to your point, draining
Yeah.
and trying to make time
Yeah.
for them. And I'm like, I am so about growth and development and moving to a next level. And if you're just pulling and pulling on the same string every time, gets
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
exhausting
Yeah.
indeed. So yeah, so had to like step aside from some of those relationships. They're still there, but I just,
Yeah.
now prioritize other things.
And what I love that story because they're still there, right? And I didn't say like I cut
Help
them off
'em.
and right. I feel like especially those of us who were exposed to mass media intensively, like in the 90s and early 2000s, there was so much conflict. There was so
Mhm,
much woman versus woman, girl versus girl, and these explosive moments and that's not what we're talking about, right? Like for me, one of my conversations was like, hey, I need to talk to you about something important to me. I think this might be difficult for you to hear. I am feeling very tired when we get off the phone. I am feeling like I don't get the chance to share with you some of the things taking place within inside of me or in my life. And I just really want to ask that the next few times we talk, that I get the chance to share with you first. Right.
mhm.
And the answer was yes, but the behavior was no. Right. And so I just said, listen, I really care for you. I know you have a lot going on in your life. I have a lot going on in my life. Give me a call the next time you can, or you
Mhm.
have, 20 minutes, and 10 of those minutes can start off with me. That was over 2 years ago. I've never got another phone call. Is the relationship dead? Not in my opinion. I said, if that's
Yes.
in 5 years, great. But for right now, with my family, my business, my relationship, right? All of these things happening. If we can't be there in that supportive interlock, that's okay. That's okay. But I am a rested person,
Mhm.
right? I just think that this is such a beautiful maturation I feel like we've gone through as a society, as more, quite frankly, as more and more women have gotten into powerful roles in journalism, in politics, in producing and directing and writing, right? Like, I
Yeah.
can't even imagine what the Barbie movie would have been like in the 90s. And I mean, really,
I
that's
don't believe it would be as empowering.
yeah, right. And then what is the Barbie remake going to be like in 20
20
years?
years. Hmm.
Right? I bet in 20 years, Ken will actually apologize, which he did not do in this version. And I'm still a little peeved about it. I want a cut that has him apologizing for his bad behavior. But, anyways, we come back to accountability.
Right. But clarity, it starts with clarity, understanding where you're going. What is self-care? What does that look like to you? I have a show coming up. It was pre-recorded because I will be on a plane. But
Love it.
next on the coming up about self-care moms for moms during the
Oh,
holiday.
wow.
And, you know, my guest there, she was talking about self-care is uh it's filling up your cup. I'm paraphrasing because she said
Yeah,
it so much more eloquently than I did just now. But she's like, self-care should not leave you depleted. Like when you're really focusing on self-care, whether it's 5 minutes where you go into a room by yourself and deep breathe and you recenter yourself, like you said, I'm a person of peace when chaos is going on during the holidays, and you can find that pocket of time to just go and recenter yourself and give back to yourself, whether it's
yeah,
a prayer, a meditation, just a moment of silence and quiet for you, so that then you can return and feel like, you stepped away and took time for you,
that's right.
right? So
One,
back to that clarity. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but back to that clarity, understanding ahead of time, what does self-care look like to you?
that's
So
right.
then you could be accountable to it.
That's right.
Go ahead.
I distinctly remember I have an aunt. We are very similar and very different. She's also my eldest. So I have an aunt who's basically my age, and then I have an aunt who is 22 years older than me. And that's what I'm talking about right now. And I distinctly remember the first time we went to her beautiful home. She was beautifully hosting us. and she had gotten high quality paper plates. And I remember being shocked. I was probably in junior high. I was shocked. Not, I mean, my mom always used paper plates, but this aunt, and I asked her about it probably 2 decades later. I said, I just really have the strong memory of this moment. And she said, yeah, I decided I wasn't going to do dishes. This time I wasn't going to do dishes. I was going to be with all of my guests.
Mm-hmm.
And so self-care can be as small and as important and pivotal as paper plates.
Yeah. We do paper plates over the holidays now all the time because mama ain't washing after I cook.
Right?
My husband doesn't usually does the dishes, but it's still, it's someone has to do it.
Yeah.
And if we could just throw it
Yeah.
all in the trash, even though, we have this preponderance of garbage now that we don't even know what to do with. But if we can, we're creating other problems somewhere else, but that's a whole other show. But if we can use, and it could be good quality, they have some good quality paper plates, and it doesn't have to be styrofoam,
Yeah.
but using things, thinking about how can I gracefully go through the holidays and not feel overwhelmed is
Or every day. If you're an
every
accountant,
yeah, not just the
use
holidays,
paper
every day.
plates and put it into your wood burning stove. Like that's what I did as a kid.
Yeah,
We had
there you go.
a burning stove. Like do it in your pop-up. I remember one of my clients was so stressed out because she has a very curvy figure and modern jeans, modern pants, modern suits are not made for her. And I said, but just get your clothes tailored. Self-care for her was skipping trying to find the perfect jeans and the perfect suit. Just get it tailored. Took
Just
her
buy it
90
a little bit
minutes.
bigger and get it sized to
Get
you.
it sized
That's
in.
what I do. I'm short.
Yeah.
I buy off the rack. Hardly anything fits me in length. So I have my tailor. She works, my
Right.
seamstress. She works. She recut stuff for me, and she reconstructed a whole jacket because it was big, it was wide, it was long. The sleeves were long. She reconstructed the whole jacket.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so and as a former stylist, I tell people that all the time. Stop feeling you have to buy something off the rack and it's going to
Right.
fit you perfectly, because sizing in the fashion industry is all over the place. 6 with one designer is going to be a different. It's going to be like an 8 for another designer and a 4 for another designer. So
I have a pair of pants that are a size 20 and they line up with my size 14 because I'm quite tall. So I'm
yeah,
5'9". My size 14 and my size 20, same
same
thing.
thing, same thing. So yeah, and then they'll say yes, they have plus sizes when it's really a size 10, and they're thinking, yeah, that's an 18. It's not. So don't let your clothes give you a bad body image. Don't let clothes give you, don't like,
Yeah.
clothes should be the last thing to give you a bad body image,
Yeah.
because I rarely look at the sizes for the size sake. I
That's
look
right.
at, yeah,
That's
the
right.
label size, but just,
Yeah.
try things on, see how they fit. That
Yeah.
is self-care, because when you're not hooked on, oh, I'm a size 8 and oh, I'm a size 12. Oh my God. But it's just the designers
That's right. That's right.
that,
And then self-care can also be really huge things like fire your damn boss. If your boss is toxic, fire them. Yeah,
yeah.
no more. Fire them. If your debt is stressing you out, make your financial plan. Like
Hmm.
get it concrete. Start getting yourself some freedom.
Yeah.
If your parents are harmful to you and your family, girl, you don't have the time. Like
Yeah.
self-care can also be really big things
It
done
can.
incrementally over a long period of time.
But just like you said too, with um it can be the big things. I lost totally.
No,
Totally.
it can be the really
It's
significant things
it's
that we Think
really
about
significant things in
right.
our lives. Um, I'm trying to remember what it was that I was trying to that you mentioned. It's not coming back to me. Let's just move on.
But it can also be really small things. And also like the very so I had a client who had a mom who was probably trying to do her best, but her best was harmful to her kids. Not
Mm,
there anymore because it's very specific and very confidential. And there were so many conversations. They did therapy together, the mom and the daughter. They, went to this retreat for relationship healing. They did so many things, right? It's self-care doesn't have to be radical, right? It
right.
can
Yeah.
over time. And that is also so, I mean, my client learned so much from that. And in her choosing to hold herself accountable to the type of mother she wanted to be versus the type of daughter she thought she ought to be,
Mm,
her
that's
career
good.
took off. Don't try to mess with that woman anymore. She stood up to her mama. Mm-mm.
Wow. That's what I was going to say. It's those conversations that we need to have that you were talking about earlier. Don't be afraid because that is self-care. And as we wrap up, I can't believe we're out of time already, but as we wrap up, I did want to say that, it's self-care is self-advocacy. Really thinking about what is it that that you need to be whole. What are those things that you need to be whole? If someone's not listening to you, or like you said earlier, the words were saying one thing, but the behavior never changes. What is it you need to be whole and advocate for yourself to be whole? And it doesn't have to be mean, doesn't have to be nasty, doesn't have to be combative or contentious or toxic.
That's
You
right.
need to hold to what makes you whole.
That's right.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Oh, Nicole, tell people how they can reach you.
So I have a podcast, Build Your Brave Career. It's in the top 10% of global podcasts. And I actually have a series of podcast episodes all about accountability and all about crucial conversations. So I give you a very simple framework to follow as you're having these really important, not toxic, not aggressive conversations. And then LinkedIn is where I hang out because I support women in technology, Nicole Trick Steinbach. And I love email. As a result of our last conversation, I had 2 emails. They were fantastic conversations. So my email is nicole@tricksteinbach.com.
Thank you, Nicole. Oh, I love it. And go check out her podcast and go follow her and connect with her on LinkedIn. And I just want to encourage you all to be bold, to be brave, and every day do one thing to step out with audacious confidence. And if you're in our studio audience, stick around because we're going to have a conversation. And I'll see the rest of you next time on another episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. All right, everyone. Alicia Curry saying goodbye.